All right, it is 6:30. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Can we do a roll call?
Christian? Here. Souter?
Here.
Jeske?
Here.
Whittington?
Here.
Bowles? Here. Holiday?
All right, if you would, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. The mission statement of this board is providing an exceptional learning community which inspires the whole child through excellent instruction, every student, every classroom, every day. Looking for a motion and a support to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Christian, supported by Whittington. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the raise your hand, aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Make a motion. Support.
Motion by Bowles, supported by Oster. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the raise your hand, aye. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Brings us to student and staff recognition.
All right, I'll keep mine short and sweet tonight. We have a treat this evening. We're going to get to experience a forensics presentation by 9th grader Riley Hood. She will be presenting on the event category sales, and thanks also to Kayla Hingston, our forensics coach sponsor, for supporting Riley and the rest of the forensic students. Riley, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
The floor is yours. Take it away.
You can scoot your board forward if you need to.
One of my favorite summer activities is going to the beach. I am lucky enough to have a beautiful lake right in my hometown. Let me take you back to my first visit to the beach last summer. The sun was hot, the water cool, and we spent the whole morning sunbathing and swimming. I took a break from swimming and sat down to have a chat with my mom. We talked about how pretty the water was, and then I was ready to go back out. My mom had stopped me and reminded me to reapply my sunscreen, because even though I was out in the sun for hours, I wasn't feeling that burn on my skin yet. Thankfully, I had my bottle of Hawaiian Tropic sunscreen. We stayed up until the sun was on its way down, and at the end of the day, my skin had stayed hydrated and protected from the sun. Your skin can also be saved from the ravages of sunburn if you use Hawaiian Tropic sunscreen. Today, we'll soak up some of the history of the Hawaiian Tropic brand, and next we'll bask in many of the products that Hawaiian Tropic has to offer, and finally, we'll sizzle out the competition. Let's get into how Hawaiian Tropic's sensational products will have you saying aloha to savings and aloha to sunburn. We all know that aloha means hello and goodbye, right? Well, we do now. Hawaiian Tropic got its start in 1969 when it was founded by Ron Rice. Rice created his first combination of oils with coconut oil, aloe, and other botanicals. He went straight to the beaches of Florida and sold directly to beachgoers. The brand quickly started gaining success in the 1970s and 80s and experienced steady stable growth over the next few decades. Hawaiian Tropic continued to grow up in Valley up until April of 2007 when it was acquired by Playtex, who already owned the Banabo sunscreen for an impressive $83 million. At the time, Hawaiian Tropic was so large and successful, so much that it once teamed up with Playtex, and they became the largest producer of sun care products in the entire Western Hemisphere. In June of 2013, Hawaiian Tropic partnered with Edgewell, a company focused on helping brands with their sustainability. Edgewell won an award in 2024 from the Environmental Protection Agency for being an industry leader in supply chain and energy performance and energy efficiency. Since then, Hawaiian Tropic has begun using recycled and recyclable materials for their packaging. Now that we've soaked up some of Hawaiian Tropic's sunrise, let's give their diverse products their time to shine. Hawaiian Tropic has over 100 different products to offer their customers. Consumers can choose between multiple different formulas. Lotions, sprays, mineral powders, mists, and foams. Something for every skin type. They even offer self-tanners if you want that glowy look on your skin without the sun damage. They offer a wide range of SPF protection. If you're looking to get your tan the good old-fashioned way, you can try a 4 SPF tanning oil. If you're looking for more protection, you can try a 70 SPF, some of their 70 SPF products. If you forgot to apply your sunscreen and you got burned, you can try their After Sun Body Butter. Not sure what sunscreen is best for you? Hawaiian Tropic has you covered there. Just hop on hawaiiantropic.com and take the Find Your SPF quiz. Your results will give you a few product recommendations. Hawaiian Tropic is a dermatologist recommended brand. Their sunscreens are water resistant up for 80 minutes and provide broad spectrum UVA and UVB protection, giving you more time for fun in the sun. They avoid harsh chemicals like oxybenzoin and instead use ingredients that are gentle on the skin. While they are known for their tropical themed scents, they also have fragrance-free options with those with scent sensitivities and allergies. Hawaiian Tropic products can be even paid for through your HSA or health savings account, giving consumers another way to gain access to their products. In order to see how Hawaiian Tropic outshines its competition, let's compare 3 different SPF sunscreen lotions. Hawaiian Tropic Silk Hydration Protective Sun Lotion, as well as the well-known Copper Tone Everytone, and the high-end Athelios UV Clear sunscreen by La Roche-Posay. The Silk Hydration Protective Sun Lotion sells for $10.39 for a 6-ounce bottle, or $1.73 per ounce. It contains ingredients that reduce redness and brighten and hydrate the skin, while being free of alcohol. It is also rated vegan and cruelty-free. The users of the Skin and Beauty website, Beauty Haven, voted the Silk Hydration Protective Sun Lotion the best body sunscreen of 2023. Let's see how Copper Tone's Evertone's sunscreen lotion compares. This product sells for $9.27 for a 7-ounce bottle, or $1.32 per ounce, only marginally cheaper than Hawaiian Tropic. But while it has similar hydrating ingredients as Hawaiian Tropic, Copper Tone is not a cruelty-free brand. On top of that, it contains alcohol. In reviews of the product on AmazonWalmart.com, consumers complained that the alcohol left a strong smell in the sunscreen and made it overly runny and messy, and in some cases left the burning sensation on the skin. Lastly, let's look at La Roche-Posay's Athelios UV Clear sunscreen and see if the bang is really worth the buck. But with a big name comes the big price tag. The Athelios UV Clear sells for $39.99 for a 1.7-ounce container. That is $23.52 per ounce of product. While La Roche-Posay does have many high-quality ingredients, they do not claim to provide any more benefits than Hawaiian Tropic. Worse yet, in 2021, Consumer Reports rated La Roche-Posay poor, and variation of SPF, meaning their products could be upwards 40% less protective from the sun than advertised. All in all, high prices and questionable effectiveness make La Roche-Posay much more of a gamble than Hawaiian Tropic. And while Copper Tone may be slightly cheaper, it contains harsh chemicals that sunscreen simply does not need. It is clear that Hawaiian Tropic gives you the best quality without burning a hole in your wallet. The truth is, there are a lot of sunscreens out there, but not a lot that can combine affordability, quality, and the pure love of the sun like Hawaiian Tropic. Today, we soaked in the history of the Hawaiian Tropic brand, admired their glowing product line, and witnessed how Hawaiian Tropic outshines its competition. Thinking back of the day at the beach, I'm honestly not surprised I almost forgot to reapply my sunscreen. Between the high effectiveness and fair price and the lack of the gross oily feeling on my skin, I'm thankful that I had a sunscreen that I could put on and simply forgot about for a while. So I also owe my mom a huge shout out for reminding me. So thanks, Mom, thanks Hawaiian Tropic, and thank you.
Nice job, Ryan. While you're packing up, you want to tell us a little bit about some of the other categories or how some of the other competitions work?
Yeah, so there are, forensics is a public speaking and acting competition, and Riley is in one of the categories, sales. Informative is another one where we have these visuals. Mr. Bunn in our STEM department actually printed these for us, so I'm very grateful to have such a beautiful supplier for our visuals. But we also have several kids in our acting categories, and Riley just competed at the state competition this weekend for the first time. She was a state qualifier as a freshman, so that was really exciting. So yeah.
Well done. Congratulations. That was really nice. Thank you again. Riley, I heard you say they have over 100 products in the line.
Yes.
Any hair regrowth?
Sunscreen for your head.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you guys for making the time to hear us out. I wanted to get the chance to show at least one of our kids off who've been working so hard.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Sure. If you have time for questions, this gentleman's got a question for
Well,
you.
it's a comment. I grew up in the 60s. I was a swimmer. And before that, everybody used to look at the can on the lifeguard. If you want a tan, without going to the can, there's baby oil and iodine. And then, in today's world, Appletone would have been sued for their label.
All right, anything else on the student staff recognition?
That's it from me, thank you.
All right. That brings us down to public comments. I've got one public comment sheet here in front of me. Are you gonna make a public comment tonight too, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be cool today.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna read our little blurb here real quick. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. While it is not our intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. If you are unsure of the legal ramifications of what you are about to say, we urge you to consult first with your legal advisor. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons wishing to speak on the same topic shall appoint 1 person to present their views to the board. The board will not respond to any comments or questions that are made during public comment, but will ask the superintendent to respond to anyone who requests a reply on the public comment form. All right, we'll start with the form I have. Jeff, go ahead.
So, this is probably more like a building update, but we always tell our kids, like, when they're in a bad mood, like, you count your blessings, and then we literally make them count their blessings. And so, I was grumpy last week, and so I just told myself, like, I need to go through and count things that are great, and make sure that I kind of keep my eye on that prize. And so I wanted to share some of those things at this meeting, because we also, our community has been like coming to the map for us consistently, and so I want to make sure in every public realm that we can, we're giving them a shout out. So it's Staff Appreciation Week, and here at the junior senior high school, we were very fortunate to have over 20 businesses and families and community members support us. So I just want to give a shout out this week to Usilis Pizza, Chartwell's Food Service, Dairy Queen, Ms. DeVos's art class, Diebold Insurance Agency, Family Fair, Fox Golf Course, Gasper Electric, the Houghton Lake Community Schools Board of Education, the Houghton Lake Sports Boosters, Hungry Howie's, Lake House Meat and Deli, Lakeland Recreation, MJ's Eatery, Next Home Up North, the Partinio family, RJ's Best Choice Market, TJ Lupe's, Uncharted Grounds Coffee Shop, Walmart, and today at 11:30, Dollar General for giving me a deal on chips when we forgot to bake them up wrong. So all of those businesses came together to prep what is not a very calorie counting friendly week for our staff. It's not, you know, the kind of thank you that we always just want to give them, but it's a nice token for them to come in and have breakfast and lunch and snacks and homemade cards from the art room and things like that. So really just grateful for our staff. The next piece, the Hall of Fame boards are in. We're still working on the aesthetic piece, so we're asking the community for you know, a little bit of patience. We have 100 years of history to get put into those things. But I want to give a shout out to the Houghton Lake Resorter and the Playhouse, who have opened their archives and they're building for us to come take pictures of the composites. The first graduating class had a male and a female. That was it was just 2 students. And so that was the first composite that's going up there. It's been a very, very cool thing to see. You know, it was funny watching people cycle through. We had to bring Mr. Blanchard, and he got to see Jackson's state championship match, and then go to his yearbook and see his hair, which was awesome. So it's been cool. We've had some staff flipping through all of the yearbooks, and you know, like I said, it's a work in progress, but it's great. Additionally, the final thing on my 5-year plan, before we transition to our next 5-year plan, recognizing we're at the end of year 4, so we're pretty geeked about that, is tonight there's something on your agenda. If that goes through, that will be the final check mark to bring high quality core content curriculum, specifically with physical textbooks to our teachers, so that resources are never going to be a barrier between our students and their success. And so we still have a lot of work to do, actually implementing those things and utilize them to their full extent, but having them is the first step. And so I want to thank you guys for your support in that. And then the other piece that I wanted to put out tonight, I'm not going to use her name. I will give her a shout out in the very near future at an event. We had a senior who faced a tragedy earlier this year, and she chose to turn that tragedy into a positive outcome. And because of her initiative, on May 27th, we'll have magician and comedian Anthony Grappito here doing a suicide prevention and awareness presentation for our students. You guys are all welcome to come to that. It's Tuesday, May 27th. They'll be doing one for the junior senior high and one for Collins, I believe. And that was 100% brought to us by one of our seniors taking what was a terrible situation for her and turning it into a positive. So great things are happening. I appreciate you guys, and sorry for going over.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, any other public comments?
Can I
If
turn
you-
this, because I've got.
Sure. If you want to reply back from the superintendent, make sure you fill out one of these before you go. They're over there by the door, I think.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead, you got 3 minutes. The floor is yours. Once you're ready, just let me know.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to stand sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I sort of came prepared. Because if I allow my mouth to say what my brain is thinking, it ends up bad. As well as you know that. All right, last year, and it's about the same time, I think I really made of myself. And for that, if you were here, I apologize for my behavior. And it's very hard for me, as my ex-wife learned, I do not like to say I'm sorry. If you ever seen a movie called Mr. Jones, Richard Gere, I think that people ought to watch it due to the fact that many people suffer the manic depression. If you're familiar with manic, I'm up here in the cracks. I've tried to learn how to manipulate both. But this winter, I became a hermit, and I don't like that. So when I'm manic, I want to express myself. My mouth is too slow for my brain. So it's like impulses. All right? Another thing that happens, I talk too much and my voice changes. And my kids, Dad, they do have a stroke because it's almost like that. But I do make a voice change with ENT. Last year, about the same time, I was selling at West Bank. And I do not know the procedure for the lockdown in Houghton Lake. You know, the intruder. Well, the room I was in, you could not secure the door. So they decided to a real good thing. 4th graders, put them in a small bathroom, and the teacher aide turned the light off. If you can't keep them quiet with lights on, can you imagine what they built in there? You tell me, instead of figuring what to do on different rooms. Because if I got a kid and I live in West Bank, I would have been living. If I had a girl, you know, and wait a minute, you put all these boys in next to her? No. So, the principal said, well, you know, you're not controlling the class, and there's no more assignments for you. But I think she was offended by my skirt. Can you read that? What's it say?
Can't see the second picture.
Please what?
Pull it down a little bit more.
My wife will be mad.
Is it great for our kids? Is it-
No, what's it say?
Advocate.
Advocate.
No, it doesn't.
No?
Can't see it.
The second word is missing.
It's covered.
You have to pull your shirt.
Just pull this part.
The wrinkle. It's got a wrinkle.
That was,
Find me my time.
that was your time, but I'll let you make a,
Educate.
No, it doesn't say educate.
There's a TK.
There's a teaching thing. And there's a teaching.
Educate.
And I also have the kids call me school grandpa, and I think she was offended. I have not subbed since then. But I did leave a message that I wanted to talk to somebody. And I said, well, we're real short,
one more real quick thing, yep.
real quick. What are you doing for kids that need special education? I have a friend whose kid needs it, and you might as well let them play all day. Listen, they can,
Like I said, if you wanna fill one of these out before you go, and then
oh,
we
I
can,
got time.
we can,
I'm not leaving,
okay.
unless you want me to.
No, no, you're welcome to stay as long as you like.
All right, thank you.
Right, any other public comments? Going once, going twice. Moving on to presentation, Core ISD 2025-2026 budget.
Evening, Sean.
Hi,
Good evening,
Sean.
everyone. It's that time of year. For those who don't know me, I'm Sean Petrie. I'm the Corpus Intermediate School District Superintendent. So each year we go around with the general ed budget. So this is that time of year. I know I have copies, but I also know the board received those as well, and if others would like them as well, I have those. What we have is a cover sheet in each year. The toughest part about ISD this time of year is the government, both state and federal and others, having to set all the revenues for next year. So you have to give your best guesstimate. So I want the schools to understand when we set the budget, we always set it based on last year's revenues. And I say that each year when I come in. We make sure that last year's revenues match what our upcoming expenditures will be. And if we do that, we still feel like we're holding a very good and well-balanced budget moving forward. So when you see this, you'll see all the revenues that we have in them, and all basically, you always will have a local, you have a state, you have a federal amount. When we built the local, our local is basically our tax that you get on villages for special ed and for general ed. One thing I've gone around and said, the one interesting thing about Core ISD, we're very proud of what we do for services for kids. That has really grown and will continue to for schools and all. But we do want to also let it be known that we are the bottom as far as millage levies statewide. We vary back and forth with one other ISD, but we don't put out near the levy mills. Some millages as high as 8 mills. We have a 0.75 for special ed, and we have a 0.3 for general ed. That's what we operate on. And I'm very proud of what we do with it. We're very frugal in how we use it and how we expand services to the districts. And I want to thank Houghton Lake because you've been a huge advocate by sending people to our committees, the curriculum committees, the student network committees, all the things that are going on for all the districts. As well as I want to thank Mr. Williams for being a part of all the superintendency meetings we have weekly to discuss items ISD-wide. With that, if you look at it, you'll see we basically set our local taxes coming in for, this is part of our 0.3 millage for general ed. This is not special ed, this is not career tech ed, that doesn't have a millage, but this is general ed that we bring out. We're showing right now, using last year's amounts, that we received $1.391 million for general ed purposes. That can be levied partially for, like we're doing right now, some of it for transportation for kids, some of it for services that we do in general ed, some of it's for curriculum, some of it's for staffing that comes out to help. There can be a gamut there as well. State revenues based on the categoricals, based on the that the House, the Senate, and the governor come together in a trifecta to come together. Right now, the governor has projected her budget. The Senate has just projected their budget. It's all preliminary budgets. We're waiting in on the House. The three have to agree. That becomes the fiscal. We're hoping by July to have that. So to bring a budget this time of year, we have a pretty good snapshot that we're in sound condition, but we don't know where the revenues are going to be until we start to receive those and all the budgets are done. Okay? So we're looking at that one right now. As far as state revenues, that comes in a lot of categorical pieces. We are showing a revenue of $6.4 million. Again, this can go very much on flow-through money to the local districts. It can go through for curriculum. It can also go for any of the teams, like our 31N team and things that come in. That's where that money comes out of, is the state level. So a lot of the initiatives that we do, we don't just sit on. It goes back out towards services provided. And it's a longer meeting where I can present all of the services that we're currently providing and what we're continuing to look for growth. And that comes from input from your local districts, not just a decision made at the desk. Okay? And then local, we have local, and you say local, that's money we receive from the local districts. We get $334,000. The question is going to be asking why. For our 31N team, which is our behavioral health team, by law, there's a 20% match that has to go back for that. 80% paid through the ISD through categorical we get, but by law, we have to request back 20% of that. We also have tech charges. You have Skyward, you have other ones that we use software-wise. We give a $5 per student amount off per se that we cover as an ISD with part of the money they receive. Any difference comes back in this local transfer for the aggregate software packages that the districts use through the ISD. So I'll pause there. That's our revenues. Any questions revenues-wise? So as far as expenditures, we just build it based on what we're looking at for projected salaries. We always build higher expenditures than what we expect because like anything else, you want to build a conservative budget until the numbers come in and you can balance things out. Our most local amended one that we did for this year's fiscal, we did in April with the board. I can share that with Mr. Williams to share out at any time so you can see what it does is at the end you can see what we have left out of what revenues we had expected or not expected and how we balance it out. So we always try to end up in the black, revenue over expenditures. We've done very well with that. I'm very happy to say that we feel like we're in a sound position for what we serve, but we still have more that we want to do. One of the projects I'll share is, you probably have or haven't seen, but our center-based program, we work with our special needs students that are transported there. They may have different things that the districts are unable to service them, so they come to CORE on campus. That was built in 1984. I'm very proud to say that we have been doing some budget managing, and we took a bond loan, per se, for a 10-year period to do a $3.5 million renovation, needed renovation, because we have to expand services. We need to update the ADA compliances, things that have just been overlooked over the years. So we're in the middle of that. That's not coming back requesting any greater from anybody. We have a 10-year term looking to hopefully pay it off in 5. That's the goal. But then the other thing I would look is if you come up to our central office, a little bit old, but we still use it because it's services. But in the future, we're going to have to look at facilities. We have facility studies we have to do for all of it, but we try to look at it in pieces and parts. Basically, with that being said, right now, a way shot in the dark, taking all the revenues that are going to be higher, expenditures are going to be higher, bringing in the revenues much lower than what they will probably be because we haven't seen them. We're looking at this point, looking at 123,827 revenue over expenditure as we stand now. I'll pause for questions. All of you should have also received, I believe they got a second page. If not, we'll make it available. Basically, with the general ed budget, you can see what was last year's audited stood. I want to be very transparent. Where the original was this time of year last year came in, and then what the proposed was that we took back in June. We'll have to redo this and bring it back in June when we have a better idea with our board as well. So, no further questions, etc. I just want to make sure I want to get to come out and say hello. I always enjoy it. And 2, you're doing a great job. And if there's anything else that we can ever do or need, please reach out.
Any questions from the board for Sean?
My door is always open for conversation in any way, shape, or form. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean, thank you. I don't have a question, but I'll give a plug in case you haven't seen. The summer camps are up and advertised for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and I'm super excited that it looks like we're offering even more than we were last year. So thank you and your staff for all you're doing. I know our kids really enjoyed it, enjoyed taking advantage of it. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to item 9, looking for a motion and a support to move into closed session for the purpose of collective bargaining strategy under the Open Meetings Act, Section 8C.
I'll make the motion.
Support?
Motion by Christian, supported by Whittington. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Christian?
Yes.
Teske?
Yes.
Bowles?
Yes.
Oster?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
Whittington?
Yes.
Holiday?
Okay, motion carries 6-0. We will be back. We will be back.
You're almost not offered him a pizza
No,
party.
no.
All right, we are back in open session at 7:54. Looking for a motion and a support to approve the closed session minutes as reviewed in closed session.
Make the motion.
All right. Motion by Christian, supported by Sauer. Can we do a roll call vote?
Yes. Oster?
Yes.
Bowles?
Yes.
Teske?
Yes.
Christian? Yes. Souter?
Yes.
Whittington?
Yes.
Holiday?
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Reports, we got superintendent report.
All right, thank you. Starting off with some school funding news out of Lansing last week, the Senate released their proposed school aid fund recommendations. In a few areas, their proposal was higher than the governor's proposal. We anticipate the House finalizing theirs hopefully this week. All signs point to approximately a $400, maybe a little more, per pupil increase, depending on which version is approved. Amounts to a 4% or 4.2% increase in the school aid fund. That would mean we would reach or just slightly exceed $10,000 per child. This is welcome news after what happened last year when there was a $0 increase for public schools. In addition to the increase in or proposed increase in the school aid fund, some other notable recommended increases are the following. Nice to see that there's a recommended $259 million increase to at-risk funding. That's higher than the governor's recommendation. A $21 million increase in the foundation payment for special ed. Career Tech Ed gets an increase as well, but not a lot, about 2.2 mil. MIPSR's retirement rate offset, so $153 million to offset district normal costs from increased employee health care costs through the retirement rate. 31 AA school safety and mental health money, a $350 million proposed increase, $75 million ongoing, $275 one time. Small class size programs, $65 million, new initiative one time. Before and after school program, $96 million one time. Nice GSRP. School libraries, something new, $15 million. Infrastructure grant. Back a year ago, I'm sure it's maybe 10 months, maybe not a full year. We in every district in the state was part of the School Research Finance Collaborative with the state funded architects to come in and do a district-wide walkthrough and check literally everything, facilities, built, grounds, roofs, boilers, everything. And to basically create a needs and wants list so they could look at working on trying to create a funding stream to take care of the biggest needs throughout the state. So I think their goal was to find out, all right, are roofs the main issue for everybody? Or are boilers the main issue? Or is it parking lots? Or what is it? Let's find the top 5 or 10 issues and then start building a categorical for it. So here we see for the first time that proposal, some money coming, $350 million for needs identified by the School Finance Research Foundation. How that will be parsed out, we don't know yet. And we don't know if it's going to go through, but it's nice to see that they're starting there. Budget stabilization of $71 million to offset and help stabilize operating budgets for districts experiencing declining enrollment. Transportation, this categorical I wasn't sure would make it through. It's there, $125 million to offset student transportation costs, which we definitely benefit from because of our large geography. Literacy supports, Teach Michigan grant, and here's one that I'm really interested in seeing, $20 million for educator housing. That is super cool because that's something we've talked about as a challenge in getting people to come to Houghton Lake and stay. That housing market is tough. Piggybacking, I'll skip fast to this, something Jeff said, the first of the 4 interactive displays is mounted right in the main lobby. you haven't seen it, go check it out. Big thanks to the IT and facilities guys for working hard to get it up. We'll mount the next one by the gym. We have 2 more. Really excited, as you heard Jeff say, it's gonna take a heavy lift to get 100 years of stuff programmed in, scanned in. Big thanks to Jeff and to Nate for sourcing and uploading much of the historical information. Also, our journalism kids are working with the Historical Society and the Resorter to go back into the archives and get this stuff and upload it. Had a great Rotary auction on Saturday night. I was there with a lot of our area Rotarians, and they raised a great bit of money. We're gonna see a lot of that come back to our Houghton Lake Interact kids, our Rotary Interact kids, helping them at the Life Leadership Conference, paying for those summer trips, and also their trip to El Salvador. So that was a lot of fun. Mark, your mom is a dynamic Rotarian. She was there, and I don't know how she does it. Full energy, still going strong at 10 o'clock.
She's always wondering, when you coming?
It was impressive. It was impressive. Last week, Kim and I covered out at Community Ed. Heidi and Lynette and some staff were at their annual conference, and I really enjoyed spending some time and watching some of the students out there get their classes done. There were a couple kids that completed classes. It's really fun. They've got a really flexible staff out there. Really helps each kid. Works with their unique circumstances. Quick update on our field lighting project. Last week, a gentleman from Musco, the parent company, George and I selected one of the 3 vendor proposals. Now we've got an identified electrical contractor. They'll be working with Musco and pulling all the permits, getting all the electrical surveys done. We are still, weather permitting, on track to have all this done mid-August. So hopefully the 6 wood poles are gone, concrete's plugged, all the new wiring is in, 4 metal poles are up, all the LEDs are up before the first football game. That is the goal there. And last but not least, I am in the process of working with Melissa Dunkel, the CEO of Mid-Michigan, to plan their annual health fair here at the high school this summer, targeting a date in late June, date to be determined. They're anticipating maybe 300 people. They're gonna have various little kiosks and things on diabetes awareness, BMI testing, weight management, all sorts of little partners will be in there working with the public. They're also gonna have a food truck there. They're gonna be giving away lots of food to folks who need some extra assistance, and I'm excited to have them have that here and hopefully get some good traffic into our building and support the community. So that is my update.
Okay, any questions for Superintendent Williams on his update? All right, hearing none, we will move on to action items. Action item A, looking for a motion and a support to approve the Cord ISD budget for the 2025-2026 school year.
I'll make the motion. Support.
Motion by Christian, supported by Bowles. Any discussion on this one?
Ben, you and I, we've talked, but I'd like to see, Cord's done a phenomenal job from a career tech standpoint, and I would like to, us to put, and I know you've talked about it, Ben, as far as the kind of getting back to the special education and different things and services directly at their facilities for our kids.
That was one thing, I think Sean's about to break ground on, that $3.5 million project to expand their center base. So the good news about that is he's secured the resources to do it, and it's going to take a little time to get it done. But we all, as member districts, sometimes it's a hand-wringing situation when you have a student whose needs you've identified, but it takes a while for that seat to open up. So for him to be able to expand is going to really benefit Houghton Lake. It's going to benefit all the surrounding districts. That's nice to see.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, could we go ahead and do a roll call vote?
Christian.
Yes.
Souter.
Yes.
Chesky.
Yes.
Whittington.
Yes.
Bowles.
Yes.
Holiday. Oster.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to appoint Mary Michella as trustee to the Houghton Lake Public Library for a 4-year term.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
I'm gonna give it to Bowles. Ben, do you want to speak to this briefly?
So each time their terms come up, it's the job of the Houghton Lake School Board to actually appoint their members of their library board. When I first came here, it was new to me, and I think we did a couple that first year or two, and now the two more of them are up. And these two individuals, this motion, action item B, and then the next one, C, are to help fulfill these positions on their board.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote?
Yes. Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Chesky,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yeah.
Holliday, Oster.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve Thomas Glennon as trustee to the Houghton Lake Public Library for a 4-year term.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support it. So it's motion by Christian, supported by Jeske. Can we do a roll call vote?
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Holliday, Chesky,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Souter.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Action item D, looking for a motion and a support to approve the Amazon quote for iPads for Collins in the amount of $12,535.22 out of Title I funds.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Sauter, supported by Christian. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote?
Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Chesky,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Oster,
Yes.
Holliday.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve the camera quote from TKS in the amount of $10,260, and that is coming out of 31 AA Mental Health and Security Grant funds.
Make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Oster, supported by Sauter. Any discussion on this one?
Is this just upgraded cameras or?
So some are new positions to solve, so we worked with the administrators in the buildings to solve some areas of blind spots they had concerns about, and then some are to replace cameras that have failed.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none on that one, we do a roll call vote.
Christian, Chesky,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Oster,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Holliday.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve TCI quote Q-40106-2 for junior senior high science curriculum for grades 6 through 8 in the amount of $43,473.15 out of the general fund.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Christian, supported by Whittington. Ben, you want to say anything about this one?
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on what Jeff said. This is the fourth and final core subject area. Excited to bring this to the board. Jeff and the science department have worked and examined all these quotes, and we've used TCI for another subject area. They really provide good supplementary materials. We also like how they've got the text option as well, in case so classroom sets in case we've got an internet down day or whatever it might be. So really excited to get 6th through 8th, as well as the bio and chem coming up in the next motion.
Okay. Any questions on this one from any of the board? All right, hearing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Chesky,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Holliday, Oster.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0. Looking for a motion and a support to approve McGraw-Hill Inspire Science, Biology, and Chemistry proposal for the junior senior high in the amount of $23,544.15 out of the general fund.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Sauter, supported by Whittington. Any discussion from the board on this one? Ben kind of touched on it already. Hearing none, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Oster,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Chesky,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Holliday.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. And finally, looking for a motion and a support to approve the renewal of the food service management company contract with Chartwells for the 2025-2026 school year out of the food service budget.
I'll make that motion. I'll support.
All right, motion by Oster, supported by Christian. Ben, you want to speak on this one?
Yeah, excited to put this renewal before the board. It's been good working with Lacey, been good working with her team, and they bring us a great product, so looking forward to it.
Okay, any discussion from the board?
Just Lacey's Cinco de Mayo colors.
Yeah. They're very bright today.
All right, hearing nothing else, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Christian,
Yes.
Souter,
Yes.
Jeske,
Yes.
Whittington,
Yes.
Bowles,
Yes.
Oster,
Yes.
Holliday.
Thank you, motion carries 6-0. All right, that does it for action items tonight. That brings us to discussion. We've got, get ready for this one, all right. First reading of policies. 0131.1, 1430, 1623, 2260, 2260.1, 2340, 3123, 3430, 4123, 4430, 5320, 5330, 5330.01, 5350, 5460, 8320, 8500, 8510, 8640. Hit them all?
You got them?
Hit them all?
All right, y'all ready? Here we go. Good news before we get started. Some of these are as simple as an address change. Not all, but some. All right, so the first one is not one of those. The first one has a couple more things in it. That is 0131.1. Basically, this is one of your board bylaws and policies. There are a couple of adjustments recommended in here by Neola. It talks about really how you adjust your policies. They are recommending you stick with your 2 readings, your first, your second reading, which is what historically you've been doing. There are some boards that have changed to a 1 reading, so a 1 and done, read it and adopt it. I'm not recommending that. Your Neola rep is not recommending that. It's what we've historically done, and I think it allows a first reading and people can think about things, and then you come back and you visit it again. However, you also see the next box checked, sorry. If, for whatever reason, the board felt a sense of urgency on a particular item, you could, as a board, waive the 2 review, 2 meeting rule and just do it in 1. Again, it just gives you the option. So that box is checked. Bylaws and policies may be suspended by majority of vote by the board. So that always stands. These are your policies. This is your work. And so whenever we do these reviews, typically it's spring and fall, we typically have 2 a year. This is the combined work of the Neola attorneys working with their superintendent teams who look at changing state and or federal laws, or sometimes it's just updates, like if it's a medical thing or a field trip thing, or it's an insurance recommendation. So these are all rather straightforward language changes. So that is the highlight of this one and the changes. 1430, these are legal changes under ESTA, the Earned Sick Time Act. So in this policy, you're going to see a lot of green new language. You're going to see some stricken language in the pinkish red. And basically, the changes are front-loading, the concept of front-loading the time, 88 hours, definitions are added under the law, and we, the district, are doing this time management in 4-hour increments. We have a software system that allows the half-day and the full-day absence. We, the district, are maintaining that. There are some places that are going to try and track absences in 15-minute increments. Imagine that. That would be challenging to do for anyone in the business office, so we are not recommending that. So in a nutshell, all the changes in 1430, all the green, the new language is to comply with the new federal law. There is no way around this. We are considered a large enough employer, so we fall under the federal law. So every bit of this in here is legislated language. We did have a couple of options to check. When things roll over, when's the start of the new benefit year? July 1st, that is it for this one. Any questions on this one? Okay. Next one, 1623, the only change in here is updating the OCR office address. It's on the back page. The Cleveland office for the Office of Civil Rights was closed, and so the new address is the DC office. So you will see this in 1630, that's the only change. You're also going to see it on the very next one in 2260. Again, just the address change. So this is the non-discrimination access to equal education opportunity policy. Only thing we're changing is on page 4 of 9. That is the new green address. The Cleveland office is stricken. Now we're moving to 2260.01. This is the section 504 ADA prohibition against discrimination based on disability policy. Again, the only change, the Washington DC address. You will see it on page 405. Policy 2340. This is your revised field and other district-sponsored trips policies. Not too many substantive changes, couple of tweaks, some new language. So this is really a review of your trip types, the approval process, some language about national and international trips, and some language on how to manage that. The new language is intended to replace policy 8640, which at the very back of this you will see is completely rescinded. So when we get to that, there's no language. It's all just pink stricken out. So they've kind of compressed a couple of policies to tweak it here. The language on how you do field trips, who approves them, the administration, overnight, out of state, we've kept the same recommendations. We're not making any changes. It's just been repackaged into the 2000s section. So if you look through here, there's quite a bit of green language. Talk about extracurricular, co-curricular trips, but the check options on how you approve it, how you recommend it, we've kept consistent with what the district has historically done. And so the board has an opportunity to weigh in on things like, looking at travel warnings for international trips. So middle of page 2, approval of international travel shall also take into account travel warnings for Americans to avoid travel specified countries, so forth, so on. These are things that we had in the other policy as well. The trip approval process is consistent, some cleanup there. And bottom of page 3, there's some new green language that's been added, again, bringing forth language from that rescinded policy. Lots of the same getting cut and pasted into page 4. Trips not sponsored by the district. That would be, for example, let's say you've got a summertime trip. It's not school affiliated. It's a bunch of students who maybe through Rotary are going to go somewhere, but they're quasi-related to us. There's some language on how to guide that. It could be let's say a Spanish club trip, or if we had a biology club that wanted to go to Antarctica or something. That was a bad example. It's probably not a lot growing down in Antarctica. Maybe the chemistry club. All right. You get the point. Anyway, so all this language is really the same. Moving on to 3123. Again, this is your section 504 ADA for the professional category employees. The only change is the address to DC. Now we're moving on to the section 3000s. These are the ESTA updates that I just showed you in policy 1430, but now we're looking at 3430 because this looks through the lens of your professional staff. The 3000s are professional staff, the 4000s are support staff. So we don't need to go over every one of these again. The exact same federal law applies. The July 1st trigger, all of the language is the same, all the protections are the same. We're tracking the 88 hours, the 4-hour increments of allowable sick time, same thing. Questions on this one? All right, 4123, just an address change. This is your support staff 504 prohibition discrimination one. That's it, just the DC address. Now we're at 4430. These are the exact same federal ESTA updates for the support staff. So we've seen it 3 times now. In the 1400s, in the 3000s, and here it is again. Same language. Okay, now we are to 5320. This is some immunization update. Couple changes, not too many. There's some language tweaks in the first paragraph. DHHS, they had forgotten the quotes. This is a check option that is consistent with other statements we've seen. It's a revised policy, so a couple of tweaks. The board believes immunization is the most cost-effective measure to protect children from vaccine-preventable diseases. Students must meet immunization requirements set by the state, so we do have state attendance rules, or there's the opt-out. All of that is still in here. There's some new language under A, vaccines involved in the time frame. The student is not able to get the vaccine, so there's some expansive language there. Option C, kid has to have at least one dose, and the next dose isn't due yet. The district must follow up with the parent. So we do have timelines that we have to look at for enrolling children. This is just a couple of language cleanups on that one. Moving to 5330, this is the revised use of medications policy. This language really just changes some definitions, some administration of meds language, like how to keep medications secure. There's a lot of definitions in here, so what's administer mean, what's medication, what's non-prescription drug, what's a practitioner, what's treatment. And so a lot of new language are building in here with definitions. Administration of prescription drug products by school staff, obviously that has to be controlled tightly. They're locked in and the data is kept in the school office. We're fortunate we have a school nurse at the elementary, we have a nurse position, or we have trained secretaries who do that when the nurse is not there. We have the clinic in this building, or trained secretaries who do that here. Both facilities have the lockable capability, so we're compliant there. On page 2, we've got the administration of non-prescription drugs by school staff. We check just about all the boxes. We've got to keep the documentation on file. We've got to watch items that are not FDA approved. We're not administering, our district staff won't do those things that are not approved. Non-prescription drugs that are provided by the parent may be administered by school staff only if the non-prescription drugs are in the original container, lists are complete, therapeutic doses, legible format, it matches the student's name, parent has to fill out the form. This is all consistent practice, just some language cleanup. I think they've reordered a little bit of this. We've cleaned up and trimmed out some of these options to make it more concise. Down at the bottom of 2, all medication is kept locked. The board shall permit administration by staff of meds requiring IV or intramuscular when both medication procedure prescribed by physician staff members have completed the training. So this would be, for example, your crisis management or EpiPen, or it even could be a diabetic procedure. Students who may require admin of emergency meds may have such meds in accordance with our administrative guidelines. They're prohibited from possessing, carrying, or distributing school other drugs, so there's a control for that. And they can't sell anything, obviously, bottom of 3. So that pretty much wraps up those language changes. Moving to 533001, this is the EpiPen immunity clause. There's some cleanup in here. We've had an EpiPen policy. This just tweaks it a little bit. So it's the responsibility of the school nurse or principal to be sure the supply of EpiPens is maintained at the appropriate level. They have not expired. The school nurse or principal shall also be responsible for coordinating training. So each year I hear from the nurse or the principal in the buildings, and they tell me how many we need, and then I work with Carissa to get the prescription. We send it off to La Roche. It's interesting, I saw it on her slides. I think it's La Roche. And they send us free EpiPens. So we get the EpiPen juniors and we get the EpiPens for the adults, and we maintain them in all 3 buildings, and then we watch the expiration date.
Well, they're charging
So-
$23 an ounce for sunscreen. They should get something away.
They do, yes. So happy they are helping us with free EpiPens. The added sentence on the bottom of 1, district personnel are immune from civil and criminal liability related to the administration, non-administration of epinephrine to the extent set forth in applicable state law. So obviously, Good Samaritan rule, we have that anyway. School staff are protected. This just puts it a little more firmly, excuse me, in policy. Policy 5350, mental health suicide prevention. A lot of money at the state level. We just saw it in an earlier, I was given the proposed budget update. There's some new language in here under the student health, well-being, and suicide prevention policy. The first paragraph adds some language about the board recognizes the importance of addressing emotional and physical safety of students and staff. We've got some check boxes here. We have a comprehensive mental health and wellness initiatives that may include the following: maintaining these things A through E. We shall implement specific strategies to promote school safety. We have some check options. The district may provide students with age-appropriate instruction. We do lots of assemblies. If you have kids or grandkids, you've probably seen assemblies with Srebsky, or you may have seen them through the Children's Assessment Center, or Officer Martin, or our staff, or outside providers. We do them all the time on, whether it's sexting or sex trafficking awareness. So we try to keep pertinent information in front of our kids to help keep them aware and safe. The instruction and professional development shall be designed to prevent both fatal and non-fatal suicide, increase people awareness about warning signs, risk. Interestingly, every time we do one of these presentations, like the OK to Say, we see a spike in OK to Say calls, and I think that's a good thing, because every time I get a call at 9, 10, or 1 in the morning I see that 517 number pop on my phone, I know exactly what it is, and then when I call Chad, or I call Jeff, or I call the officer, we get on Skyward, we get a hold of the parent, and we made a lot of those calls. And so I think the more we do the OK to Say, people do feel that it's okay to make that call, because they're worried about their friend, and that's a true good friend making that call. Policy 5460, this is addition of FAFSA notification and language cleanup. So really a whole paragraph in here about we're providing information, our FAFSA parent night and so forth. We're providing notice about approximately annual tuition costs to state institutions and so forth. So we've dropped that option in. Couple little cleanup things. Because of the configuration of our building, we added grades 7 through 12 on the back here. Not every building is a 7-12, so we've customized it to our building. We've added some grammar cleanup where we've written online with a dash in it, and just some drafting notes here. Cleanup of the student, and that's about that for that one. Policy 8320, personnel files, updates, disclosure, review, and retention. Those are kind of the changes. How you maintain your personnel files, what you have to disclose, who can review it, how they review it, retention guidelines, when you can shred, files for a departed or retired employee. And so all this we look at and follow the state retention guidelines, which are legally provided to us. So not a lot of change options in here, but some clarifications. So we've chosen the ones that were recommended to us by the attorney, and we're just clarifying, how the employee reviews the file, and really building out some of those options. So we've checked B, C, and D on page 2. Personnel wishing to review their own records shall request it in writing. Review the record in presence of the administrator designated to maintain the records. Make no alterations. Sign the attached log. So that way, if anything's missing ever, if we have an attached log, then we are monitoring through our HR office who's been in there, so that should keep those records clean and secure. And so checking options here, again, shall not be available to board members and school administrators except as may be required in performance of their jobs. That protects everyone. That's why we check that option. Personnel wishing to appeal materials in their record for accuracy, time, completeness, relevance. There is a way to do that, and so we've checked those options to give them that option. So that is the updates there on that one. Moving on to 8500, getting close, coming down the home stretch. So these are updates. This is the food service one. Interestingly, there's a lot of updates in here on rules and compliance changes to align with the USDA and HACCP. I had not seen that before until this policy. That is the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point System, which is implemented with the intent of preventing foodborne illnesses. So HACCP was a new acronym for me. in this new language, we're gonna see dietary modification language, disability accommodations with food service, and thinking about dietary restrictions, meal charges, debt, managing negative account balances. So that's kind of the highlights of the new language in here. On the first page is that clarification of the HACCP. Going into the second page, lots of check options. We're considering nutritional values. We've got a dietitian license, and they're consulted. Lots of work, goes into monitoring and managing all this. Thankfully, we have an expert over here whose team helps take care of this for us. So thank you, Lacey, and your team. The superintendent is required to make sure we're following these rules, and in this district, we have partnered with Chartwell, so that means we work very closely with Lacey and her team to do this work. Modifications based on compliant meal documentation is the rest of the new green language in the bottom of 2. On 3, you're going to see disability accommodation language. I'm not going to read all this to you. I know you've had it in your packet, had a chance to look at it. So a lot of this new language really spells it out. They've trimmed some other things that were just redundant. Page 4 has a lot of cross-outs, but jumping down to the bottom, implementation, discontinuation, review, implementation, student absence, reviewing a dietary request, discontinuing a dietary request. They're really getting thorough with how you process and manage all of this paperwork that supports the kids with special needs in their nutrition, how you manage meal charges. This new language is in here. Food service director's in charge of that. How you manage bad debt, how you deal with collectible and uncollectible delinquent debt, negative account balances. A lot of this language currently really is not applicable since we're a CEP school. Everyone eats for free. We don't have the free and reduced in play right now here at Houghton Lake. But you could still run a negative account balance if you get your free meal and then you come back and get another one or 3 because you're super hungry that day. Then you are going to owe some money. So it is actually possible to run a negative debt. And then on page 8, the non-discrimination statement, and over here on 9, they make some information available about related and parallel policies, non-discrimination language, how you get a hold of USDA, and a lot of websites. So, and then their Washington office. So that is all of that. That's a lot of new language in there. 8510. Some minor language cleanup, just the addition of the non-discrimination policy statement into the revised wellness policy. So this is some cleanup. Add some conversation about eating and exercise, healthy nutrition, physical activity. References the USDA's My Plate to be displayed in the cafeteria, giving kids that information about healthy choices. Schools, we got a checkbox here, will provide the students affordable access to very nutritious foods, and then a whole paragraph on the non-discrimination statement with the DC office on page 4. And the last one, 8640, is, not the last one, second to last one. This is the one we're going clip, totally gone, because that's packaged into the earlier field trip one. And let's see, what is this one? I had this one out of order. 6520, a few updates to payroll deductions. We've got the Board of Ed authorizing how you make payroll deductions, other legally permissible deductions established through applicable collective bargaining agreement. Is 6520? Never mind. This slipped into my policies and we did not have it in here. So I will get this to you at the next time because I don't have it in the packet. And the only changes are the word broker and legally permissible for payroll deduction. So I don't think we're missing a whole lot. Okay. All right, good deal. Thank you, everybody. Any questions on the first readings?
Could you go over it one more time?
Which one?
Let's just start from the beginning.
Get a pillow.
Okay, we'll see those for a second reading and adoption at the next meeting later this month. Discussion item B, retiree celebration on Monday, June 9th at 5:30. Is that just an FYI for us, Ben?
Yep, that's just putting it on your calendars. We always do like a little fun gathering in the cafeteria before that June board meeting. Right now, we've got 2 folks, so it's gonna be a real kind of small group. We may get some surprise retirements between now and then, but just 2 folks, and so if you can be there an hour before the board meeting, we'll have some goodies, some snacks, tell some stories, thank them for their service, and then we'll come on to the board meeting.
Okay. And the last discussion item is MASB board training, leading with civility, changing the conversation. I had a couple board members reach out to me. I think MASB sent everybody on the board an email about this training, that there was some interest in doing this as a board, sitting down together. It's a 3-hour training, and I think they schedule around what we're available to do, which is nice. So I guess I heard from a couple, so I just want to gauge the interest from everybody who's here, if this is something you want to do. I don't think we would do it on a board night. We'd probably try and find a way to do it a different night, so we're not here for 5 hours or something like that. But it sounds like they're willing to work with us for time frame wise goes. So. Thoughts?
I'd be interested.
Need it to be on Monday.
Okay.
I think they also have money to offset the cost.
Yes.
Yeah, up to like $750, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they're still doing some great incentives for
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah, so that'd be a good way to use that incentive up for us on a board level this year, I think. All right, so seems like we got consensus, so I guess we will follow up with MASB on potential Mondays. We can get an off one.
And just maybe not a month that we already have 2 meetings.
Right.
If we're looking at Mondays especially.
Mhm. So that would, obviously, this month is a no, especially because we have the next meeting and then it's Memorial Day, so. And then
We have 2 in June.
I was gonna say, I think we have 2 in June too, so maybe it's a July, or maybe it's, we see how far they're booking out, maybe we treat it as like a part of our return to school retreat or something like
That
that.
might be a good idea.
I think August would be easier than July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
July is usually pretty packed.
Okay, alright, we will,
Warm July.
alright, we will touch base with MASB and maybe look at doing that as kind of a back to school retreat topic for us and work it in that way. We've got some dates on the board calendar here, some upcoming student events. And anybody else have anything else this evening? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 8:36.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good work, good work.
The luncheon, are we coming?